You know what happens when you take one of the biggest TV shows in the world and bring it to life? I'm not talking about a parody, I mean a real competition with a real, life-changing cash prize. Today, we're going to break down exactly how a single creator pulled off this absolutely insane multi-million-dollar event.
So it all started with this number, 456. But these weren't actors or influencers. Nope. They gathered 456 regular, everyday people, all ready to compete for a massive fortune by playing what seemed like a bunch of simple childhood games.
And this was the prize waiting for that one final winner, a staggering $456,000. That's $1,000 for every single person who walked in that door to compete. Okay, so this raises the obvious multi-million-dollar question. I mean, the logistics, the cost, the sheer scale of this project is just mind-boggling. So really, how on earth did they actually make this happen? Well, it all starts with a huge budget. We are talking $3.5 million, and part of that was sponsored by the mobile game Brawl Stars. And that money, it went into painstakingly recreating every single iconic set from the show, making it feel like you were literally stepping into that world. The games kicked off right away, and the pace was just brutal. From the very beginning, the goal was simple: get rid of as many people as possible, as fast as possible. After just the first two challenges, more than two-thirds of the competition would be completely wiped out.
And of course, it all started with the one game everyone was waiting for: red light, green light. They had the massive, perfectly built arena, that finish line that just seemed impossibly far away, and yep, that terrifying doll watching every single move.
The rules seem simple, right? But the way they did it was so devious. To create even more chaos, the organizers added a yellow light warning. Now that wasn't in the show, and it was designed specifically to fake people out, causing this huge wave of players moving too early and getting eliminated on the spot.
And the result of that first game? Just utter carnage. In 30 minutes, 232 people were gone. Almost half the contestants were out of the game before they even really knew what was happening.
The survivors, well, they had no time to catch their breath. They were immediately moved into the next challenge, the Dalgona or honeycomb game. This wasn't a test of speed, but of perfect stillness and nerves of steel.
The rules here were just simple and cruel. Players had to choose a spot in line, but they had no idea which shape they were about to get. Let's be real. Getting that umbrella was basically a death sentence. You could just feel the tension in the room as everyone uncovered their fate. After 10 of the most stressful minutes of their lives, carefully scraping and probably praying, only 142 players were left. The field was just shrinking at an unbelievable rate. So right about here, the whole vibe of the competition starts to change. Before they even announced the next game, players faced a totally new kind of test. They were offered $4,000 in cash to just walk away. And you know what? 22 people took the money, which just proved that psychological warfare was now officially part of the game. And this new focus on strategy, it was immediately put to the test. The remaining 120 players had to form teams of 10 for the next challenge, a raw, brutal game of tug-of-war. And this is where the social dynamics got ruthless. This one quote, caught while people were scrambling to pick teams, it says it all. Sorry, no girls allowed. Alliances were formed in seconds, and they were based on one thing and one thing only: a desperate search for pure physical strength. The result was pretty predictable, but it was still just as brutal to watch. After a bunch of intense matches, exactly half of the remaining players were eliminated, sent falling into a giant foam pit below. Only 60 contestants were left standing. This next part was honestly probably the cruelest twist of the entire event. See, behind the scenes, the producers had been tracking who each player was spending the most time with. So for the marbles game, players didn't get to choose a partner. They were forced to play against their closest friend in the game. And the reality of that was just heartbreaking. To win, you had to be the one to personally eliminate the one person you'd come to trust. After a bunch of really emotional showdowns, the field was cut in half one more time, leaving just 30 survivors.
This kicked off the start of the final gauntlet. But before the next big game, they had to trim the field from 30 down to 16. And how'd they do it? With a super quick-fire round of Dokji, that paper-flipping game. Only the first 16 to succeed got to move on. And that led to one of the most strategic, nail-biting moments of the whole competition: the glass bridge. Every single step was a 50-50 chance of survival. The players with higher numbers quickly figured out their advantage and just stopped moving, creating this incredibly tense standoff as the clock just kept ticking down.
In a crazy, frantic dash in the last few minutes, a bunch of players made it across, but that clock was unforgiving. 4 contestants were still on the bridge when the timer hit 0, and just like that, they were eliminated on the spot. What a brutal way to end their journey.
And then there were 6. These were the final contestants, the only ones who survived every single challenge to make it to the very end. That $456,000 was so close they could almost taste it. Right before the final battle, the last 6 were actually treated to a steak dinner. It was this brief, calm moment, the quiet before the storm, because one last game was about to decide everything. But in a really smart change from the show, the finale wasn't the actual Squid Game, which, let's face it, is complicated and not a lot of people know how to play it. Instead, for a really clear and dramatic finish, they chose musical chairs. It's the perfect equalizer, it's simple, everyone knows it, and it's all based on pure luck and reflexes.
This whole event was just a monumental achievement for creator-led content, and it leaves us with a really powerful question. When a single creator can put on an event at a scale that actually rivals major TV networks, what does that really mean for the future of entertainment?